Welcome to Fearlessly Made You. I am your host, Kristietobias. Joining me today are guests just striving to dominate in their personal and professional lives while answering the question, what does it mean to be fearlessly made? Welcome to Fearlessly Made You. We have a wonderful guest with us today, John McCorvey, one of my dear friends and a man that keeps me stocked in wine. John, so glad you're here today.
Thank you, Kristie, for having me. I'm glad to be here as well.
Awesome.
When you asked me to do it, I was like, yeah. It's like, yeah.
You can talk about wine. You can talk about your life.
Well, I mean, my life is a lot of wine. I'm gonna say that. I do deal with a lot of wine. I never would have thought that my life would end up like this. Give me like
Really?
5 years ago. I mean, I had dreams and aspirations, but it was more of it just started to happen so fast. So, me going to college and getting out and moving to California, started my drinking palate there. And then also just wonderfully moving around a little bit of the United States, and then ended up back in Pensacola. Life with kids and stuff like that. And then finally settled in, mom and dad getting old. So somebody, my siblings are off. So I had to I was the only one. I was the guy. I was that kid to be able to come home and stay with them and stuff like that. And then, Lord was able to bless me to be able to open up Caskin flights. It's going on 3 years now. Can you believe that?
Has it been 3 years?
Oh my God. It has been 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
It'll be 3 years in June.
Yes.
But, it's been quite a challenge. Me, I don't have a business background.
Right.
I just had a dream, and I had something that I wanted to do. And, the Lord was able to see it happen. It must have been in somebody else's plan too, other than mine. Right.
Yeah.
So, it's been good. Pensacola's definitely welcomed it, with open arms. Everybody loves it. Good staff, good people working with me, and then just building a relationship. It's been good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that don't know, John is the owner of Casks and Flights, and they are basically this wine tap room, which is absolutely phenomenal. I can't do it justice in describing it. It's beautiful and gorgeous. And just every time I go in, I just accidentally end up with a glass of wine. But John, tell us a little bit more as you're thinking about Casks and Flights and what it is and what it stands for. And just, even just the simplicity of what is Casks and Flights? Talk to us about that.
I got you. Yeah, no, Caskin Flights is, it's the way I put it is centered around just people or, people that don't know about wine that may want to know about wine. So you can come in and you can taste wine, and you don't have to be pressured. You don't have to feel intimidated. Some people, it's a stigma on wine. It's like, people, they turn their nose, they snooty or whatever. But wine is, whether you like sweet wine to dry wine to, just some heavier wines like a port or something. I got wine for everybody. So Caskin Flights is that type of bar. It's a nice lounge area. When you walk in, you don't feel like you're in a bar. Yeah. You feel like you're maybe, just not even in Pensacola. People have told me that. It's like, really? I walk in here and, am I still in Pensacola? I'm like, actually, yeah, Pensacola Sanger Theaters right across the street. That's a telltale. So, but yeah, no, they walk in and they love it. They like the atmosphere. The ambiance is nice, so we got 72 wines on tap, I'd say, to where you can self-serve yourself. So you don't have to worry about pressure of somebody trying to sell you wine. That's not what we're about, but we will try to sell you some wine. I'm not trying to say it's pressure, but it's no pressure.
Yeah.
And if you like sweet wines, you like sweet wines. If you like dry wines, you like dry wines,
I love that.
So, that's pretty much Caskin Flights. It is a wine tasting room. But we do also have other things, like we have beer, we have liquor spirits, and then we also serve food, little appetizer type food, flatbread, charcuterie boards.
Delicious foods, let's be honest.
I like them. You gotta give them something to eat while you giving them all that alcohol. Or you might have a
all
liability.
The 72 wines.
I tell people when they come in, I'm like, listen, don't do it all on one trip. You can, just come back. We give you this card for you to come back. So don't try to drink it all in one sitting.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the card, because I think that's something too, is people are trying to like wrap their heads around, wait, there's a place that has 72 wines and I can just taste them. Talk about the card and how it works. Yes.
So the card is it's a preloaded card that you get, money on it. It's yours to keep. So you just kind of, anytime you come back, all you got to do is go up to the bartender and ask them for a glass. If you got money on it, if you need to reload it, you can reload it there. So when you get up to the machine, when you go up to the machine, you actually stick the card in the little card slot, and with your fingerprint, you just hold your fingerprint on the pour you desire, which you have a taster, a half glass, or a full glass, and it just pours that amount. That way you can taste wine without buying a bottle.
With your wine credit card.
With your wine credit card. They call it a wine ATM machine or something like that.
That's basically what it is. Pretty much. Instead of getting money out, you get a glass of wine.
You get wine. You get wine.
I like that a little better, actually, sometimes.
I think so. I use it.
Me too. Mm-hmm. Well, and what's really cool, though, is Casks and Flights, as it is now, the taproom wine tasting area, wasn't how it is now. It was kind of a different vibe, and you kind of created this direction, right?
Yeah, when we first opened, we had two different businesses in there. We were mead making. We were manufacturing mead in there.
And talk about what mead is for people that don't know.
Right, mead. Yeah, a lot of people don't know.
Unless you've watched, what is it, Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones, some type of Viking series or something like that back in the day. But and essentially that's what it is. I mean, it's the oldest form of alcohol. It predates wine, liquor, and beer. I mean, so you have that, and mead is fermented honey, so it's honey based. So the consistency of it is a little bit thicker, it's sweeter, and it's usually a higher percent alcohol volume, which is always people love.
Yes,
people do love that ABV.
This is 100% alcohol, and I would like this.
Yeah, I said 100 proof. Oh man,
just pour it in.
Just pour it in. They love it, but it is a unique taste, being that it is honey. But you can do more things with the honey than you can do with some grapes because of the consistency of the honey. You can add a lot of different flavorings, spices. I mean, and it just brings out honey. I mean, if you ever tried to make anything with honey, you can just kind of take it different levels and stuff like that. So that's the thing about mead, and people love it. It's also good for you. It's honey.
It is.
It's good for right now. You can drink you some mead in allergy season and all that stuff, and
you're fine. You need a bottle of mead basically every day.
That's exactly it.
But you said that it started out kind of with the mead focus, and now it's shifted a little bit. Is there still a mead focus, would you say, at Casks and Flights?
No. So what happened? It really was a both focus. Mm-hmm. So you had the wine because we had so much wine, and then you have the mead. So we were trying to bring two unique things to downtown Pensacola.
Gotcha.
And unfortunately, the mead did not work out in the same space. But we still do carry mead, and you can still get mead there. I mean, we still sell quite a bit of mead there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. A lot of people still come for the mead. They love it. We get it. You can get it on a flight. You can also get it on the card.
Oh, okay.
With the machines.
I don't think I realized that. Well, and thinking about that too, it kind of brings up the question for you of when there's that kind of shift where it was basically before you really kind of came in from the owning perspective of it was mead based, like that was really popular when all those shows were coming out. Mm-hmm. Was it a weird transition though for you from a business perspective to take what it was to what it is now?
No, I wouldn't say difficult. I wouldn't say it really wasn't too hard. I mean, honestly, things, they started to shift and happen so fast that, you just in it. You don't really know, you just figuring out what to do and how you should do it. So, I mean, actually, I don't think it was too difficult to shift to total wine, without the mead. It was just more so of me coming off of me with my background, not too much in business, but learning so much about it, and that's what was driven to me was the fact that it was a learning thing that I wanted to do. You want to learn, you want to figure out how to do this. And then, you have an entertainment space and you want to help people and you want to grow. So, you have a business here that you've made. So you're like, look, this is it. this is pretty much it for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's no going back. I'm not going back. I'm only going to go forward. So that's the path you take, and you don't ever look back. You just keep going.
That's really good. And it's such a connecting point to, the Fearlessly Made You podcast, which is that, we're not going to let fear drive the decisions we make. We're going to make our own decisions. But I'm curious for you too, because and you guys will not be shocked by this. When we start talking about wine, I just go down that path. But for you, I want to know, kind of almost back up a little bit of John, who John is and where that drive came from too, of just like moving forward.
I got you. Well, see something here. Trying to figure out how old I am and how far I got to think back. I'm not that old, I wouldn't say, but
1942. Not 1942. Not that there's anything wrong with 1942.
It's a good wine made in 1940.
I'm sure.
So I think I've always been, since I got out of high school and I started college, I started to see things differently. Mm-hmm. So me being in business was something that I always wanted to do. Whether I was, involved in washing cars, doing whatever it was that I did on the side to kind of make things happen, the entrepreneurship, just the initiative to be able to make certain moves without the corporate world, So me doing that, and then I started a cleaning business, with my cousin, which is still going today. I just kind of let her handle it since I started doing Caskin flights and everything like that.
You have a couple other things on your plate there.
Oh man, I still get calls. I still see it. And I'm like, man, I could still set that up. I'm like, hey, cuz, look like you got something going on over here. You need to, she's like, okay, all right, I got it. Just let me know, so it's still going. So just the thing about being in business, that it's inspiring. It always motivated me, me being in business, me seeing other people in business, me going around and you seeing other people in business, no matter what it is. And you're like, man, you going in depth with them, you're talking to them. And you're like, okay, so what did you do? How did you get this happening? Just trying to figure out and seeing, when I went to California, I went there on working for a friend of mine that had a business where he install communications on the buses and trains. Oh, so he got contracts with the city or the state that he was in to do their communications on buses and the transit system there. And it just, that right there, it just always kind of like, how did you get there? What did you do to get there? How did you get these contracts? Stuff like that. And then with my uncles, I have some uncles that just always were, whether it was their own thing as far as like buying houses and real estate or doing something where they made their own money, they made their own schedule.
It was a family, basically.
It was a family, yeah. It definitely was a family, and it just stuck. It stuck. So me being the way that I am now, just fast forward a little bit now to where I'm in business for myself. I'm always thinking about business. Yeah. I'm like, man, am I even fun anymore? Do I even laugh?
Well, when I drink wine with you, I feel like you are.
Yeah, and the wine loosens me up a lot. Like I can forget about the business stuff and just talk about all kinds of other things. Next time we'll sit a little bottle of wine up here. We'll sip. I'll make sure I'm good. I'm not too over the top.
We're going to change the podcast. It's just going to be the wine cast now.
It's going to be a wine cast. That's right. But yeah, so, just my focus on things and my mental about, business has changed a lot. I was, I hear things, I read things more, I look into things a whole lot more. That's what you have to do. But,
absolutely.
Some things just like, man, can I turn it off? I'm like, yes. I would like to turn it off for a day. I have employees that work with me. CJ, I don't know if you know her. She's like, John, can you just turn it off? Just turn it off for me, please. Can we just sit right here for a minute without you analyzing everything? I'm like, yeah, we could try.
But that's a really good point, because that's so difficult, especially when you're building business or building something. I think about Fearlessly Made You, and there's a conversation and a dialogue around that I felt like I was building and sharing with the community that produced the book that's brought this podcast. But to your point, I feel like I'm constantly thinking, okay, what else do I need to do? So it's the balance and the reality of, to live a fearlessly made life, you have to also have that balance of, you can't always push yourself further because you're going to forget what it means to be you.
Exactly.
So how do you find that balance? What does that look like for you?
I don't really know. I don't think I found it yet. I'm working on it. Because I say I'm working on it, and then I go and start another venture.
Well, I was gonna say,
oh my God.
I feel like we had this conversation and the Casks and Flights started.
We did. So you have to make yourself turn it off. I have a real good friend of mine. He's a financial advisor. A consultant, and he's like, John, I was where you were, like 20 years ago. You got to figure out a way to release and break yourself away from it and just take some time. I say, you're going to have to just come pick me up and take me away from it. Yeah. You got to come, because I'm on it. I'm in a zone or something like that. But I don't have that balance yet. I don't think I have it yet,
That's honest and vulnerable. And I think that's something for everyone to hear is, you can be successful and you can be accomplished, but you could still be missing that piece of your journey that's keeping you from getting that balance that you need to continue to take care of you. And I think you bring up a really great point of knowing that you're still working on that balance. I know that you have your own kids and you're wanting to instill in them the, not even just the work ethic, but the values and, the ability for them to be wonderful versions of themselves. How are you then passing along information and knowledge, and how do you do that with them, knowing that you're still trying to work on your own balance and what that looks like?
It's I wouldn't say challenging, but it just kind of does put a level of degree of just kind of worry that you're not being too forceful and you're letting them be a kid. Yeah. So I have conversations with them all the time, and my oldest, he's 18 and he's in college.
I can't believe he's 18.
Oh man, yeah,
How did that happen?
Well, they just kind of keep growing, but you don't want to think about their age, because then you look at your own age and you're like,
there's that.
You're like, oh, that means that I'm old.
We won't go there.
Right? No.
We're deciding not to go
and
there.
I don't do that to his mother either. I'm just like, listen, he's at an age now to where we're gonna have to start doing different things with him. Yeah. Type of thing. He's not gonna want to do those things with us because he's at that age. So I when I'm talking to him, and when I'm actually trying to be mindful of where I am, just kind of be in that space, so to speak. I can't think of that word I'm trying to use, but where you're not thinking about anything except for them. You're just in that space with them, and you're just enjoying them, not so much in all other stuff. Yeah. You just don't even worry about anymore. You're just not worried about right now, because you have to put all your attention to them. So I kind of try to push myself in that direction. I have to actually make myself go there. It's like, okay, that's why I have to leave here. Like, I have 2 kids that are not here. So I'm like, listen, no, let me come there, because if you're here, it's interruption after interruption. So I come down there, and in that way, it's all about you. And that's where I need to be, because I don't spend enough time with you. But, talking to them and letting them know just things about them growing up. Yeah. And a lot of stuff that they may be encountering right now in that age. Like, my son's 18, so I can remember those times when he was 18. Scary. Yeah. It's scary at 18. I was first year in college, but my daughter, she's 9, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out, what a girl's doing at 9, so I can kind of relate. You try to relate to them and stuff like that, but you also want them to know that you be yourself, be the person that you are, but also think about who you want to be in the future. Like, like if you're 9 years old. So, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? Simple stuff. You don't want to overbear them. It's like, look, you're around, you see a lot of stuff. You see me, you see what I do. Do you want to do something like that? If not, you just encourage her to think in a positive way to where she can put herself in a position and not just be a leader more so than a follower. Like, you need to lead your own life. You need to figure out things for yourself, make your own mind up about things. Now, my oldest son, he's like you say, he's 18, but he asked me a question. He's like, "Oh, Dad, you know anything about stocks and stuff like that?" I was like,
okay.
That was a big. It threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting it.
We're going there.
That's right. Yeah. So he was like, "Dad, you know anything about stocks?" And I was like, "Oh, a little bit." I said, "I don't really. All I know is that I got a Ameritrade account. And I got stuff in there. I know I got that. And, I don't really look at it. I didn't really dab in the stock, but since he asked me, we started to talk about it a little bit, and he knows quite a bit. His friends, because that's that generation, which is good. Yeah. Like, that's that generation. They're not just waiting around for somebody to pay them. They're finding that info and they're getting in there and they're like, hey, look, if I can do some things, it's like their own little hustle.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it totally is.
It's their hustle. So, you encourage that. Yeah. You don't want to never take the hustle mentality out of anybody.
Absolutely.
You want them to always try to go and get it. So,
I love that. And you're saying something that's really powerful as you're talking about your kids, because it's funny when we're talking about balance and you're still trying to find that. But it's interesting, your shift that happens when you start talking about how you talk to your kids and how you have that dialogue. Yeah. And it's not necessarily that there's a calmness, but I know that there's purpose in this. And you have purpose in your business and you have purpose in your kids, and those intersect so beautifully. And I love that. But something that you've said about your daughter owning her journey and about your son really being who he is too, it brings up the conversation and the question that I always ask people, and I think it'll expand even more on this conversation about your children, is when you think about people who are trying to figure it out, your kids, their friends, or even people like your coworkers or your employees, I should say, when you want to help support them in moving forward in their life, I call it moving forward and being fearlessly made. What are the action steps or the pieces of wisdom, like you've already given to your daughter and your son? Like, what does that look like? What are some of the things that you would share with people when you are helping them move forward in their life and their own journey?
I guess I would say, you really have to search yourself, because people, they get set in their ways. The older you get, you're just like, oh, I've been this way for so long. I'm not trying to change.
That's so true.
People get like that. I mean, it's a common, natural thing.
Yeah.
So, but it's always goes back to that saying that where you have to kind of get out of your own way to do things that you've never done before.
Absolutely.
So I just speaking to my friends and stuff like that, and talking to them, and I got some close friends that I may, have a conversation with from time to time, and, letting them know that they can own their own journey. Like they get down, some things where they feel like, and then the first thing I ask them, is pretty much, I don't mean to bring, talk about a religious thing, but it's like, what's your relationship with God? Like, where are you with that? Because that's going to play such a big part in you and your mindset and what you have and your drive and everything everybody that you come in contact with.
Yep.
What is your relationship with the Lord?
Absolutely.
Do you believe, let me tell you about my journey then.
Yes.
That way it can help you and let you see where I was, because it's not where I was never a believer. It's just that when I started to really understand and want to be who I am, I actually turned to him and started to listen. I started to pray. I started to put things, that he's brought to me in place, things like that. And I never was anybody to just be like, no, I would never say no to anybody. I would never say anything. I said, okay, well, let me just see how that would work. Let's, then we can see how it works, and then it's not. So when it comes to people, after I ask them that question, And then I go into maybe like, okay, what kind of person are you looking to be?
Yes.
Like, what do you, not what you want to do, but what kind of person are you looking to be? Like, do you want to be fearlessly driven person?
Yeah.
You know, do you want to be a person that's just gonna just I guess sit back and just kind of let things go, or are you gonna be a go-getter type of person? I mean, it's a couple different things. I mean, so depending on the answer, you know, I just kind of, you know, and I'm not a coach. I have to just let people know.
You're coaching right now, my friend.
I just
coaching all of y'all right now.
You know, I just try to understand people. You know what I mean? I get along with different types of people. I've always had. You know, it doesn't matter race, color, or whatever, you know, ethnicity. It's just I get along with them because I'm not trying to be anybody but myself. And I want to learn from everybody. So I tell them that, and I ask them, you know, what you're trying to do, are you going to be in a position to help others?
I love that.
You know, because a lot of people get into things for selfish reasons, and it doesn't quite turn out that way. Yeah. You know, I don't know if you go forward being in a selfish way and then things start to open up and you start to see, but you know, let's just not start it selfish.
Yeah.
Let's be selfless and going into it and helping people, because if you can build a relationship with somebody and bring them together on your journey on what you want to do, they will help you. Things will start to open up. Yep. You know, like somebody want to open up a business and they don't go out and talk to people. They don't socialize. They don't network with people. It's going to be difficult. Yeah. It's going to be real difficult, you know, so you gotta do that. You really do. I mean,
and you know, it's interesting because that's the thing that I will say is really special about Casks and Flights is it's the first time that I've seen, and I've been in Pensacola for 8 years, so I haven't been here like extremely long, but long enough to watch the transition that has happened in Pensacola.
Gotcha.
And when Casks and Flights opened, not that there weren't other restaurants and places that were inviting and welcoming, they absolutely all are. And, you know, I have some of those people who are part of our podcast guests, but the thing that was different was there was a welcomeness from, and I will just put it bluntly, we have a Black-owned business with a Black man, and you don't see a lot of that in this area. Right. But then what you did that was very important was, and I think it may have been like day one or week one, is like you automatically started interviewing, like on the TV, like, and it was like, I'm gonna put my face out there so you know who I am. But it was so like there was like a lovingness that you're like, come on out here, like come hang out at Casks and Flights, and it was so beautiful because I know in conversations that I've had with people, and some of you may know this as well. When I see someone that I'm like, oh wait, they look like me, I'm going to be more inclined to be like, let me check this out. Not because I'm discriminating against anybody else, but we didn't have that here. Exactly. And you open that up and you put your face out there to represent that welcoming, loving, relationship building atmosphere. And I have to ask you, for you, as you're thinking about that part of your journey, like how has that been? Like, I see you smiling about it.
I love it. I really do. I love the welcomeness. I love the humbleness. I love the part about Casks and Flights to where it doesn't matter who you are.
Yes.
You know, you can come in there, you could be 18, you see them in there drinking with their family, or you could be, you know, 87, you know, let me not go that high. I would say more like
I feel like let's say 65 in there.
They come in there. So you got 65-year-olds, you know, the seniors, they come in there and they're sitting with, and they're talking to the new generation. I'd say, you know, 30s, you know, they have, you know, it's just a meet place. So you go there, and what I like about it is you go there and you meet somebody at the machine.
Yes.
Right? Like, you know, you got somebody 65 and you got somebody that's 30.
And for those of you that don't know, machine. Like when he's saying the machine, when we talked about the tap room earlier, like it lines the organization. So like you can't help but meet someone when you're going up to the machine.
Exactly.
But yeah, continue on. Sorry.
so you know, you standing there and you meet them like, oh, okay. So you know, what is that you're drinking? So it's a conversation piece. And it opens up, and then you meet somebody that you never met. And then, you know, next thing you know, oh yeah, I'm here with my family, and then we're over here, I'm here with my friends or whatever, you know, and it's like, oh, taste this, you know, you should see it. And so the demographic is just all over the place. It really is.
And I love that. And you know, John, the great thing about it is it's that conversation around, like, people are like, certain things bring people together. Wine brings people together. And y'all know what's coming. The fun part about this is this question is so pertinent, but can go in so many interesting ways with a true wine man. So, John, as you think about wine brings people together, what is a wine for you that you cannot live without?
Oh man,
I know it's a hard one.
It is difficult because when I first started, I was drinking Merlots.
Interesting.
Because it's more full body. Yep. So me coming from a person that does not drink wine at all, I was a liquor guy. I was drinking gin. So, you were fancy. I would say I was real fancy. And, and then I started drinking. I was like, man, I need some. So the dry wines, I was like, oh, they're a little bit too dry. Like, right. Some of those French wines, I still can't hardly do.
Some dryness,
there's some dryness on there. But, Merlots were more full body for me. So I could taste different things. The grapes I started to kind of taste and, what all they had in them and whatever. And then I moved to Pinot Noirs. I started tasting and I started eating food.
Yeah, I told y'all this was going to be a hard question.
It is a very, very difficult question because I'm trying to think as I'm rambling.
No, you're doing great. You are. So we're going to eventually do a wine education class, and guess who's coming back?
So as I started eating, because wine is made to be drank while you're eating food, so you can taste different layers and stuff like that, and your palate changes. So I started drinking Pinot. So I'm on reds. Let's just say red wines. I'm on reds. So Merlots, and then I moved to Pinot Noirs. And man, I'm still in love with a good Pinot. Okay. I really am. But it's changing a little bit. I started on some Zinfandels.
Oh, John.
I'm worried. I'm worried because I don't want to leave my Pinots. I've been with the Pinot. I understand, but
you can still have them.
You're right. You're right.
Let them live.
I will let them live. I'm gonna let them live. I'm gonna still talk about them. I'm gonna still enjoy them. So this Zen thing has happened to me. Yes. So I'm drinking Rumbauers, and the new 8 years came out the other a couple months back or whatever, and then like the Old Soul. I think I let you taste some of that Old Soul.
I fell in love.
I am loving
it was delicious. That. It's a wine. So for those of you, there's at Casks and Flights. Is it still there?
Yes.
The Old Soul. It's Old Soul red wine Zinfandel, and every taste is a different flavor. Like it's complex in my opinion. It's so good.
That's like my favorite wine right now.
I see. Oh, this is now your favorite.
It's wine. Okay. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna try to answer this question.
You did already, but you're doing great. But you go and you.
I'm gonna say the love of my life with wine is gonna be Pinot Noirs. Okay. I like that balance of dryness.
You had to get there. You had to bring yourself back to your love.
I do. I think Pinots. If somebody had to ask me, it'd definitely be a Pinot.
I love it.
The Zinfandels are too new to me like that to be able to.
You don't want to get away from your Pinots.
Get away from Pinot.
Oh my gosh, John, it has been a joy and a pleasure. And the great thing about it too is you embody and embrace what it means not just to be fearlessly made in your existence and your transparency and vulnerability, but in cascading that to your kids. Yeah. And I love that. And it really emanates throughout your business, your personal life, and just who you are as a person. And I thank you for that vulnerability. And I thank you for being part of Fearlessly Made You today. I appreciate
Absolutely. No, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. And thank you for having me on here. I mean, we got to do it again.
Oh, so not only tune in for the next episode of Fearlessly Made You, but a little sneak peek. We are probably going to do something very much related to wine. So y'all get used to this space because he's going to come back here. But thank you so much again, John. Tune into that next episode of Fearlessly Made You.